Blog Talk Radio.
It's a new thing that's sweeping the land when you don't know which way to go. The answer is Jesus and Elevation Radio.
God bless you. This is Elevation Radio 1, and I'm your host, Pastor Steve, the Music Man Turner, and we thank you for taking the journey with us. This is the program that spotlights positive people doing positive work while serving a positive God whose name is Jesus, and I said it, and that's what I meant. And so today we've got a special treat. The subject matter today is The Spirit is Upon Me. I said The Spirit is Upon Me, interviewing Dr. Cedric Walker, founder of the Universoul Circus. Oh, this is exciting. And Isiah Chapter 61 declares, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me. And it says, Isaiah pronounces, he is changed, restored, renewed, and reborn, and able to do mighty works in the name of the Lord. Enter Mr. Cedric Walker, Baltimore born, product of humble beginnings, a visionary of a major dream to create a circus for the urban market with talent that looks like us, entertainment that captures our black culture of music, faith, and family fun. Oh, my goodness, and what under the big top. And so it makes me want to say something that became famous. When I say big top, you say circus, big top. Okay. And, yeah. And so welcome, Professor, I'll give you all the titles. Professor Dr. Cedric Walker, founder of the Universoul Circus. How are you doing today, sir?
I am doing wonderful, and just thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here on Elevation Radio with you, Pastor Steve, the Music Man Turner, and First Lady Leora Queen Turner. So I'm very excited.
You've done your research, sir.
I'm very excited, and I'm just glad that you're having me. And I always say an old tongue loves to wag, so I'm ready to talk.
Oh, my goodness. Yes, sir. Let me, before we talk, let's go right into the Queen, Leora Turner, the First Lady. And how are you, Queen? I think I hear. I can't hear you, Queen. Nope, can't hear her. Alrighty. Let's see. Who else do we have? I think she's reading. Yeah, I hear you now.
We can.
All right, read that script. There she is. Read that scripture, Isaiah 61.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
And there shall come forth a rod out of the stream of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of the roots.
Okay. That is not the scripture I wanted, but I love you so much, I'll accept that. It actually says the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, for He has anointed me to preach the gospel, and that's all right. That's all right, sweetheart. I still love you. And it looks like we've got somebody else on the line. Who else is on the line? Is this my celebrity co-host?
Yes, celebrity co-host. I don't know about that.
Oh, Lord have mercy. We're praying. This is Dr. Leroy McKenzie Jr., who's my co-host also for today. Yes, indeed. We're glad to have you, sir. And so let's go right to the interview with Cedric Walker. And who is Cedric Walker?
I'm Cedric Walker, the president and founder of the Universoul Circus, born and raised in Baltimore, right there. And David Murphy was my next door neighbor. Well, he lived one door away. David Murphy that started Black Unity, the newspaper. So
yes, sir.
He brought this to my attention, and we're glad to be here.
Well, we actually, Dr. McKenzie Jr., myself, actually are editors at the National Black Unity News, and
okay.
I was before Professor McKenzie Jr., but he's taken a lot of weight there. He's heavy, so it's great.
Hello, Dr. McKenzie. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. How are you, sir? It was a pleasure to see you and the Universoul Circus at the what did you call it? The is it the
ceremony? Yes, sir.
Yeah. So it's great to have the circus back here in Baltimore. So you know, it's great to have something like this that should be celebrated, and something great for the kids to be able to, and adults. Some of us adult kids to be able to enjoy and to be able to enjoy it. So thank you, sir.
He's talking about himself, Mr. Walker. He's talking about himself. I don't know how he got in there. I don't know how he didn't pay to get in.
The circus brings out the kid in all of us, you know. It just, you know, that it just makes us kids again.
Oh, I tell you. So how did you put that together, coming from the urban neighborhood? Tell us the journey.
Well, the journey starts way back, but the idea for the circus started with I was doing gospel plays at that time. We did a Mama Don't. We had a play called Good Man Is Hard to Find. So what I was seeing in those theaters was one night I was in Pittsburgh walking through the theater, and I saw looked like a generation, 2 or 3 generations sitting in a row, all the way down to a lap baby. And I just thought, goodness gracious, it's a whole family. It was like the parents, maybe the grandparents, and the children and grandchildren. And we had, the theater was clean, and it was funny. I'm sorry, the show was clean. It was. But I thought maybe, because it was gospel theater, it would be older people. And it, when I was shocked to see the kids. And we had the play, in particular play we were doing was called Wicked Ways. And the play was dealing with how the young people get involved in street activity and how they lose their lives and don't even know what they're getting into, but they get into situations that change their lives or lose them. So while the play had a serious subject matter, we laced it with comedy. So it was very humorous. And I asked the playwright that night, I said, man, we got families out there. And I said, this is a gospel play. I'm not expecting to have, he said, first of all, theater is the oldest form of entertainment, to be or not to be was a reflection of a love story. So people flocked to see it because they could see themselves. And we're reflecting our community and a lot of social issues that our community is dealing with. And the parents are bringing their kids so they can see it, so they can see how you can get caught up in drugs, so they can see how, we had a stepfather bringing up a teenage son. We just dealt with a lot of issues in those plays. And when I saw the family and when he told me that, he said, people are here because they see themselves on the stage. And I just thought about it. I left that night and I said, man, we don't have a family attraction that mother, father, daughter, grandfather, granddaughter, and son and daughter can all go to and enjoy something for everyone. That each one of them could enjoy something about the show, but they could also enjoy each other while they're enjoying the entertainment. And so that started me on the path thinking about what could that be. My first idea was a variety show. I was trying to put gospel and comedy and jazz and R&B and hip hop all on one show, and I went to the library. I actually at 9 o'clock in the morning I was in the library till noon or 1, just reading about black entertainment from the turn of the century. So, because I was trying to look at, the vaudeville shows, all of those kind of shows, to see, how we could do this, because it was going to be a challenge to put everything together. So, what ended up happening was on the vaudeville, when I was researching the vaudeville, black people trained horses and dogs and stuff, and they used them in vaudeville in entertainment. And I was talking to my group, and one of the group members said, well, he said, well, we might as well, if you're going to start training horses and dogs and stuff, we might as well just do a circus. He didn't use that word. He said, do a blank circus. And I hit the ceiling. I said, that's a great idea. But that's the way the idea started.
Wow. So as a leader, you listen to those who were assigned to help you, a cheerleader. It's incredible. And once you did that, now you went up against, been around for 26 years, I believe. You went up against the corporate giant Ringling Brothers. How did they feel about that?
They didn't like it at all. They did a lot of things that they came to the show and started walking on the back lot and buying up the talent, and they sent emails out to the press and the media telling them that they couldn't. That one email went out that said that from one of their marketing people that this show needs to be stopped at all costs. But I addressed it with the management. I placed a call to them and I said, guys, you got to stop this. This is not something that you want to do. This is the first effort of African Americans to do a family show. And how would that look? You guys seen as someone that would try to destroy it, and they stopped right away. So they responded to it. I think it was just their initial reaction, and we became great friends. And they helped us out, tremendously in different areas as they could along the way. So, it initially was, I just think, their first reaction.
Mm-hmm. How the audacity of black people in the circus, incredible. But you kept your cool. You seem to have ice in your veins, Professor Walker. I mean, is it always like this?
I'm sorry. You said I seem to have ice in my veins.
Very cool, smooth.
Oh. I'm a laid back kind of guy. My story is one of I started. I guess I can just go back to, but I have a history of working with real tough situations and having to make it happen no matter what the setbacks are. So I'm kind of, you kind of have to be laid back to face a lot of challenges. You can't react. You can't be a reactionary person. So I had a job I started out. I left Baltimore in '71, and I want to circle back to God and the influence and the role that it played in my life a little bit later on. But I left because I was getting in trouble, up on Denison and Evanston. I kind of lived with my grandmother on the Evanston and Calhoun and Parkwood. I was born and raised with my other grandmother up on Parkwood Avenue near Drew Hill Park. So, you know, my father at 18, he just said, look, you know, we got to get you someplace where you can't get into kind of trouble and hang out and be influenced with the kind of influences that are directing your life at this point. So he took me to Alabama, to Tuskegee, and he dropped me off. And you know, it was a different lifestyle. I was in a country town. I learned how to drive. It was, you know, I always hustled and tried to make money. I was trying to do it the wrong way as a teenager, but even as a kid, at 6 years old, my grandfather bought me a shoe. I shined my father's shoes because he was in the semi-Air Force out of Andrews Air Force Base, and he had to have his shoes spit shined every day, and I enjoyed doing it. So grandfather bought me a shoe shine kit. So I would go up to Archway Ford and cross down near the bridge and just all the car dealerships and shine people's shoes. I think I was 6 or 7 years old, and I made $5 or $6 a week. I don't know what I made, but I was making my own money at 7 or 8 years old, and then I bought Kool-Aid. And I made frozen cups, and I sold those for $0.05 a piece. You know, so my first bicycle, because we couldn't afford, it was me and my brother. My father couldn't afford to buy us a bicycle. But he didn't want to buy a bicycle. He couldn't afford 2 bikes, and he didn't want to buy one because he said we would fight over it. So I went out and sold Christmas cards. And I got my bike, and he brought my brother his. So I was always excited about hustling and making money and being independent. So I guess it started there, and it turned in the wrong direction as a teenager. And my father took me to Tuskegee, Alabama, and dropped me off with my uncle. And you know, my uncle had a little hole-in-the-wall nightclub, but I think I was 18 and couldn't be in the club part, but I washed dishes, and I would volunteer to help the bands. But I learned a lot. You know, it was just a different life going to the South from Baltimore because, you know, I met, you know, I quickly found a little hustling spots, the crap house where they, you know, and all that stuff. But I was cutting grass. You know, I worked. I didn't mind working. That's one thing I wasn't short of, hard work. And so I was cutting grass with a friend. I worked in the gas station, cut grass, and worked in the club at night. And I worked washing dishes, not in the nightclub part, but in the back washing dishes. But so I was cutting grass with a friend of mine, and he was 18. We were the same age, and I told him that we got $35 for cutting the grass. It was big. It was a local pastor's yard. He had a huge yard, and I told him, I said, I'm going to take my $35 and I'm going to the crap house tonight and I'm going to flip it into about $300. And he said, I'm going to take my $35 and I'm going to save it and I'm going to buy me a home by the time I'm 21 and I'm going to start a family. And I looked at him. He was my peer. So it wasn't like an older person telling me, you got to go down this road and do this. I'm standing next to a guy who's telling me that about a vision. You know, I didn't get that in the environment I was growing up in, and I wasn't led that way. So when this guy told me about saving money and buying a home and starting a family, I never forgot that. It just impressed me for a person my age to be talking like that. So that changed my life. It was from my peers that, a lot of these kids are out here, but if the peers, if we could get peers around them that could influence them, it's different than all the older people could tell me that, and it wouldn't have impacted me the way he did. And now he's got one of the biggest landscaping businesses in Alabama. But just, cutting grass next to a guy that tells you something like that. And so it made me start thinking that way. But anyway, I ended up back to I don't know if you want to comment on it at this point, or you want me to keep talking, or.
I want to, because you have jewels of wisdom here, sir. We can probably solve all our social issues by listening to a genius like yourself. Let me ask my celebrity co-host, Dr. McKenzie, is there anything you want to ask Mr. Cedric Walker, sir?
Well, I'll ask Mr. Walker this. You are a trailblazer when it comes to entrepreneurship and bringing something like this. What would you say has been one of the keys to, or to give us 3 keys to how the Universoul Circus has been so successful and it's long and I've been able to last as long as it has lasted?
Well, first of all, it's integrity and giving the people meeting the people's expectations and giving the people what they paid for and what they expect, and really passionately going out to make sure that the public that pays you, that we give them their money's worth. So I don't know how to say it in any short terms, but it's providing a product that the public, and no matter what the excuse, no matter what the reasons that you can come up with the excuses, they're not ready. You can't give that to them. You have to give them what they want and give it to them no matter what kind of circumstances. So it's integrity, and I'm trying to shorten it. And I think community, we started working right off the bat. We went to the community and they supported us in a sense, but we always made a way to try to give back to the community. And just being, I think the main thing is in terms of success is the quality of product that we produce, and it hurt sometimes. It hurt a lot of years because we weren't getting the money. We gave a show that was the quality of Ringling Brothers or the quality of Cirque du Soleil, but we were getting at one time $18, $19 a ticket, but we were giving them what everybody else would get. Was the other shows were getting $35 and $40 a ticket, but it was a white audience that could afford that. But I couldn't tell my black audience, I can't give you what you're going to get somewhere else. So you've got to figure out a way to provide equal service. You have to be on the equal level of what your customers want and what they expect and what they're used to. Integrity in dealing with people. When we give our word. If it's 10 people in that, Lord knows in Baltimore we've had some serious times when people didn't come out in the early days, but we still gave the show. We didn't look at it if we didn't make any money that day, we had to go ahead and live with that. But the public, we promised the public a show. So a man is a master of what he knows, but you have to be a slave to what you say and do, you know. And so.
Hold on a second, sir. Do that. Say that again.
A man is a master of what he knows, but he has to be a slave to what he says.
I'm telling you, that sounds like Aristotle. My goodness, a Mensa moment. This is fantastic. And so, if it wasn't on a high level, then you wouldn't have Dr. McKenzie Jr. chuckling like, "Yeah, that's what I'm talking about." He liked it. When we play this, they're gonna love it. Let me throw something in here, sir. And if you have a question to ask of, I'm gonna knight you, sir. Sir Cedric Walker,
okay.
King of the Universoul Circus. Big knighted, yes, sir. You can call him at 1-914-205-5353. That's 1-914-205-5353. This kind of situation doesn't happen every day, and so you got to wake up off the sofa and get on his phone and call in. I was going to say to you, I have been helping your circus for a long time, sir. You probably didn't know it, but when you started at Mondawmin, the head of security, Chief Mustafa, called me and asked me to send you some folks, to ushers and all that, and that was when I worked for the mayor's office. So I did that and sent them out to you the same day, and that was probably when you first started.
Oh, wow. Man, that whole Mondawmin Mall, so I was born around the corner from there at 2901 Parkwood Avenue. So Mondawmin Mall was a part of my life in the early years before I moved up to Evanston Village. And, so when I went back and we went, I automatically picked it as the location when we first came to Baltimore. And the management, Chief Mustafa and all of those guys, they were so on target. It was like they wanted everything so pristine. They told me, if you don't wash the tent, they came to see the show somewhere before it came. They wanted me to wash the whole tent. I mean, those guys, I really admired those guys that were managing that mall at that point because they really cared. They cared about it, at least from my perspective. I don't know anything, but they wanted this show presented in the most professional way that it could have been presented, and they checked me, man. They weren't playing. They were like, "Is the tent clean? Here's the way you have to staff it. This is what you got to do." They took control, and I loved it because we need more of that in our community, that people that look like us care about excellence and care about how we present ourselves to the community. So, yeah, that Mondawmin experience was a great one.
That's important. I'll say that when I started, when I first married my wife, and while she was able to do it, I took her to the Universal Circus every year, and she would be looking at me with loving eyes. "He's my hero." Wow. And then I took my granddaughter. I took one of my granddaughters, and she was all ablaze in her eyes. She actually acted right for a change, and had her mouth open. I got a picture of her looking at the performers. And how do you get these performers, sir? I mean, some of these things are actually incredible. Right when they rode in the cage and they rode the motorcycles going upside down, I was afraid for them, but it just caused an air of excitement. How do you get these artists from that come into the Universal Circus?
Well, the motorcycles are luckily that culture of all of that Daredevil airborne motorcycles kind of, I don't know where it started, but it's really popular in California, And I was actually in Germany, because I go around the world and I look for talent, and I saw that most of the motorcycles flipping. So I got in touch I work with the agent that handles Europe, and I called the agent and I said, hey, man, these motorcycles, I was going to hire the motorcycles from Germany to come to our show, and I found out they were from California. So I started looking right here at home. But what we do is a lot more than the public. Before you see one of those acts, a lot of the acts, it's a mixture. It's a mixture of acts that we create, and those are, it's a mixture of guest acts that we buy that already are created. And what we do, when I first started, there were not many black circus performers. It just wasn't a market for them. A lot of the shows didn't hire black circus performers because they were afraid that their audience wouldn't accept that. So it wasn't a part of the fabric of what black people learned how to do anywhere in the world. So I scoured the world. There was a black lion tamer named Manny Ruffin he lived in Sarasota, Florida, and he was retired. And it was a black circus historian out of Philadelphia. I'll think of his name in a minute, but they connected me, and you just want to talk. I just want to stop and talk about Providence for a minute, and how when you take one step, it'll take two. So I had the idea for the circus, and I was working on the idea for the circus. But in the meantime, I was still producing and promoting plays. And we had Good Man Is Hard to Find in New York at the Beacon Theater. So WBLS, the black radio station, had a big, one of those events that they do now, like the Sisters Only or whatever, but they had a lot of booths and a lot of retail and a lot of black, black dealers and stuff. And I was passing out flyers to the play. And I ran across this. Now, mind you, I'm dreaming about the circus and I'm wanting to do it and I'm working on it, but it's just an idea at this point. And I'm passionate about it, but it's still just an idea. I'm studying about it. I'm working on it. And I was passing out these flyers, and I turned my head, and on one of the booths, it said, of Africans and circus rings, and it was a black a booth on nothing but black circus history. And I lost my mind. I went and I walked through the booth, and I looked at the guy. It was a black guy. Golly, I can't remember his name. But anyway, I looked at him and I said, "Sir, I got to tell you, I know you're going to think I'm crazy, but I want to start a black circus." I said, "And can I go across the street and get a camera and take pictures of your booth and stuff?" So he said, "Sure." So I ran across the street and got a camera, one of those disposable cameras. And I came back, I bought the surround camera, and I took pictures of all of the black legends, the acts that were still alive, the ones that were still working, the history of the ones that were before. And I printed those pictures and I put them all around my bedroom. Next to my bed on my ceiling, I just had to think circus, and now this was evidence that this idea that I had was real. So for me,
confirmation.
That was the confirmation. Yeah.
So let me ask you, since we're talking about it real fast here, when did black artists start in a circus? What was the first year that you know of?
So we've been responsible, and I just lost track of where I was going, but what we do is we go around the world and we I started going to circus schools. There was one in South Africa. There was a group of a guy in Kenya that produced a lot of acrobatic acts. Went and visited him. There was I went to Guinea, West Conakry, West Africa. They had a little circus thing. A lot of the Europeans went to Africa, and they did a little in Ethiopia. I went there a lot, all over Ethiopia. But the Europeans would go and create these circus schools and bring the entertainment to. They would just, the guys, they would, like in Ethiopia, the circus schools were really a place in most of these African places back then. The circus schools were a place to get the kids off the street, give them food, give them something to eat. So you had a lot of the big health care organizations donating money and stuff, so that they could get meals and have something to do and help prevent AIDS. So they did a lot of programs. It was really school level circus, and they would do programs against AIDS and stuff. So I went, and we kind of started looking at these, and we brought trainers in. We brought first-class Russian trainers, Asian trainers, to teach these kids real circus. So what we do, we were operating in South Africa. We were donating to the schools and sending and getting trainers to train black kids up to another level. And then we went to West Africa and Ethiopia, and even in South America, in Bogota, and Colombia, and Cuba. We established a lot of training in Cuba. So what we would do, we would invest in training black kids all over the world and teaching them circus arts. So by the time you see an act in our ring, it has probably undergone at least a minimum of 4 years of different level training.
Can I ask you a question? I want to get off this serious train here for a second. You've never seen my celebrity co-host, Dr. Leroy McKenzie Jr. He's a little fellow, about 5 feet. Is there any hope for him? Can you do something with him?
Dr. McKenzie, you need to speak up, man. Right now, I need to hear you. I need to hear you now.
I paid a little fella no mind. He just jealous, that's all. You know what I'm saying? He's jealous because God packed more in my pack in my little body than he did in his little body. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, no, he didn't. I hang with all these little people. My wife's little. Where you at, sweetheart? Okay, she's a little shorty, about 4. She says she's 5 feet, but she's more like 4'11", and but she's very pretty. That's what I'm telling. Tell us, sweetheart, that did you ever, when I took you to the Universoul Circus, did you like that, sweetheart?
I loved it because I never had one when I was growing up in New York. It was the first time I've ever been to one.
Wow.
See, she came down here and met her husband, me. And I took her all these great places, and she was smiling ear to ear. She even got a little frisky with me after the circus, sir. I'm telling you, it's pretty awesome.
Oh man!
Oh my God!
say this now. There are now for Dr. McKenzie. He's not married, so when he came to the circus, some of those dancers there with the outfits and all that, he gets very excited. Dance. He had to get a fan and fan himself.
Yeah, we those Caribbean, but it's such a professional. They are such professionals, though, the Caribbean, and they're passionate about it, and it's part of their culture. And the dance has stories and underlying, there's underlying messages that you'll, like for us, dance, when you start talking about cultural and cultural dance, it usually has a story behind it, and and you can follow it if you like I would go to the Caribbean, and they have a thing called First Village, but it's a competition of dance, and I learned so much about the culture of dance there and how powerful it is, and the stories about it. Like when you come to, they have names for each act, and it's one in particular called Madame Lorraine, and they over the years it's gone to Dame Lauren, but now I'm sure there's 1,000 stories about it, but it's when you see the ladies come out that are overweight with the fans and they're fanning themselves, and they in the show, and they have a big bottom and a big top and oversized, and it's Madame Lorraine, as the story that I heard, was a very proud overweight lady that carried herself with all the etiquette and class, and kept her head up high, and she had a string that went from her wrist clothing to lift the bottom of her skirt as she walked through town with a fan and an umbrella. And she was just a classy person, and it started turning into folklore. And so, if you go to another circus, you see the oversized person, and they make jokes and bust balloons and all of that. But when you come to ours, it's a depth of culture involved in what you see, that traces back to some folklore or something. But a lot of the sailors, so it's just a lot of authentic. That's another thing you asked, what makes the circus valuable. I think Dr. McKenzie, it's the authenticity of it too, because when we started the circus, we studied about it, and there was actually a guy that started the circus, and we started in 1994. There was a black man that created the circus named Ephraim Williams, had a black circus in 1894.
That's what I'm talking about. History. Yes. I got to stop you here because I gotta do a commercial, and then I want to say salute to my uncle David Murphy for setting this whole thing up, and I just thank him. He's a visionary, like you said. Let me go to commercial here. Oh yeah, this Sunday from 4 to 6. Go out to meet my good friend, and that's Maestro Tony Winston and his birthday celebration concert. Groups from all over D.C. and Maryland will be there. 5720 Old Road, Liberty. And so I'll be the MC, the music band, good dynamite. We're going to have fun, and it's a free love offering. So put the check with a look away. You don't have to pay to get in. That's pretty fantastic. We also have on June 25th the Mighty Newsom Award Showcase will be at the Randallstown High Center. That's from 4 to 6. So we won't have a show, but we'll be there doing the work of God. And the admission is only $10. En route to the Mighty Newsom Awards, August 20th, at the Martin said, the tickets are a little different. But if you want a ticket, you want a sponsor, you want a magazine ad, give me a call at 410-302-2737. That's pretty fantastic. And also, we want to say that Paris A7, one of the greatest stores in Whitestone Plaza, where I get my suits and sport coats from. And 2, oh my goodness, for men, it's also Lake Corona Shopping. Tell them that the music man sent you to speak to Jeff. Miss Marlin, the manager, telling you what the music man sent you. And last but not least, I have one ticket left. For the Universoul Circus on Sunday at 7. If you'd like to go, give me a call. It's 1-410-302-2737. Last but not least, get your ad for the National Black Unity News. But my column called the Urban Rewrite Full Color Ads. It's awesome. We'll talk about deals. 1-410-302-2737. We thank you. Keep your head up. All right, we're back. We're back talking to Sir, I was right, Sir Cedric Walker, because he travels the globe, a universal traveler, businessman, entrepreneur. What question do you have for him? Sweetheart, do you have a question for Sir Cedric Walker?
Thank you for bringing the circus to Baltimore.
Oh.
You're welcome. This was one of my first, when I first came out, Baltimore was one of the first cities that we picked to play. We did it in Atlanta for 2 years, and then we wanted to move it out of Atlanta and try to move it around. So, of course, Baltimore was I think Baltimore, was Chicago, Detroit, and L.A. Those were the first cities we did other than our hometown where we started the circus in Atlanta.
Okay. Yeah. Atlanta is okay, but Baltimore is better. You can tell them.
I'll drink to that. That's pretty cool.
Yes, sir. Let me say one more thing, and I'm gonna let Dr. McKenzie ask you some more questions. And one of the best parts I like of the circus, it's hard to pick one, but it is those balls that come out, those beach balls, and they come over. I tell you, it's nothing like it. I've seen Dr. McKenzie do backflips, getting so excited because especially when they come down lower to his level, but it's all right.
That's a lot of fun. So let me talk a little bit. I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
No, Dr. McKenzie?
Oh, no, I was listening for the, I was waiting for you all to know if you, if you were in response to that.
Yeah, no, I do. The thing that we do most importantly is create audience interaction. So you're a part of the show. And again, the whole thing when you come to the circus, to Universoul, you find yourself chanting back and singing along and, dancing along, and we make the audience a part of the show. And but you're experiencing a culture that goes back to Africa, to the griots, when they would play drums and chant, and the people would chant back.
Call and response.
So
yes,
it's call and response, and so I was doing when we had Good Man Is Hard to Find. We got a write up, in the New York, one of the New York critics said, the people they respond back to they're talking to the stage, and they're we laughed because the critic was criticizing the fact that at the play the audience would respond to what was going on the stage. But that's us. That's part of our culture. The critic didn't understand that.
He was uncouth. Don't worry about it.
To him.
So, he was uncouth. He didn't know.
Yeah, right.
We do the same thing at church.
But
we do the same thing at church.
Yep.
Can I get an amen?
Yeah.
See?
Yeah. So the beach balls, all of those things were designed to create the interaction that makes everybody have fun. Yeah.
I see. I'm about to get in trouble here. You have a lot of power, sir. I saw all types of delegates and folks coming out, city council people and all that, and even Marilyn Mosby came out. And usually politically she doesn't come to a lot of things, but she came out to yours. And I saw a lot of you have a lot of power, sir. You're able to draw and to bring folks together. That's pretty awesome. Most of the people that came out have been supporting the circus since its beginning. As again, we started going to the community, but really we went to the political infrastructure, the black politicians in our early days to get the circus out, because the cities didn't know who we were and didn't have any idea of how we would affect the community. So, we needed the black politicians and we needed the black community to introduce the circus to these different cities. But the politicians, when they saw it, they knew what it was and the impact that it would have. So the politicians you see that follow this thing are the politicians that saw the value of it to the community and fought for it to be here and be in the city. And it wasn't easy because the fire departments and the structure wouldn't give our show the breaks that it would give other family entertainment or other events that were of different nationalities, because they understood them and they didn't realize the intrinsic value to our community, because they didn't see this as an art form or enriching any culture. The theme, when we sat down and put together the show, we designed the show to uplift the positive achievements of Black Americans. That was part of the design from the very onset. When we went into the room and started designing the show, it was designed to celebrate the achievements and uplift the culture. And those two things were paramount, and those are the first two things we put on the whiteboard. How we create something that celebrates our achievements, and it has to have a positive impact on our culture, or it has to perpetuate our culture. So when you come and sit there, we thought about having gospel in the show. We thought about sports. We thought about black. When we first started, we had moving on up to the top. So when blacks first got on TV, Diane Carroll was one of the people that we had on the whiteboard. She was the first black lady that we saw that wasn't a slave or cleaning the kitchen or, on TV. And so we had to get what were the positive achievements. It was when we first got on TV.
Motown. So Motown was a positive achievement in our community. Being on TV was a positive achievement. Gospel was a cultural backbone of our community. Sports was it was a part of our DNA. So when we designed the first shows, we designed from that. That's what we put on the whiteboard. Now, everything you see in the circus, we didn't go just get some circus acts and put them in the ring. We said, okay, how do these acts fit with this goal and the outline that we're putting on this board? So, and how do they uplift our culture, and how do people, it was kind of one of those, like when you see black, for all growing up, when I saw black culture, black history, I saw a saxophone and some drums. And we have achieved way more than the saxophones and drums. And so the goal was, how do we express our new current achievements, and how do we, just get together and celebrate that. So that's what the theme, the underlying theme was.
Okay. Let me ask you this question: When are you? I know you got a show on Sunday. What times are the show times?
11:30 or 11 o'clock. We started moving early on Sunday, but it's 11 and I think 3 and 6:30. I think. I'm not looking at my paper, but that's
okay.
On the weekend. The Saturday is 11:30, 4 and 7:30, and the Sunday I think is 11, 3 and 6:30. I think.
Okay, I thought it was 7, but okay.
It might be 7. I'm not. I would have to flip through my phone, and I apologize for not being on top of that.
I got you. No, it's no problem. You got a lot on your mind. What other dates do you have here in Baltimore?
We're here until the 20th. So, and we perform. Okay. We're doing Wednesday the 15th. That is a community show that Senator Young, Larry Young, put that together, and okay. It's free for the community kids that were chosen through community organizations, that kids that might not get to see the circus. So that is on Wednesday. I think it's Wednesday the 15th. And then the show, we're here through the 20th, through the holiday. I think that Monday is a holiday. So we're going to perform that Monday. So it's Thursday through Monday next week, and today and tomorrow, and then Thursday through Monday. And
all right.
Is there shows are at 7.
Oh, okay.
The evening
they can get tickets from the website, which is
all the tickets. You can get tickets at universalcircus.com, and you can get tickets at Ticketmaster.com.
All right, got to throw one more feather in my hat here. 1 year you didn't have a opening. You went at gospel, so I sent you through Power Magazine. I sent you Tony Winston and his Star Christ Ensemble, and they opened up for you.
Oh wow! All right,
ask Mackenzie what has he done for you.
Dr. McKenzie, man, you gotta talk. You gotta step up now.
Let me tell you, Doctor. He knows. You see how he does it, and I let him have his little fun. Notice I said have his little fun. So he can feel like he's doing. So it's his show. So I'll let him talk a little bit and everything like that. I don't want to embarrass him, especially when we have someone as big as you on the show here. I don't want to have to embarrass him like that, because he knows. He knows.
My wife runs him, and God runs this show. Now, thank you, sir. So, if you see him out there, if he's allowed to come out and play, you'll see a little teeny hand in the bleachers waving. It'll be him.
Well,
all right.
I can tell you're the comedian of the hour, so we had to get you one day to be the guest ringmaster.
No, don't do that.
Don't be jealous, sir. Don't be jealous of this situation.
His head is already big enough. Are you telling me he can be a ringmaster?
I humbly accept. You see all that haterade, Sir Cedric? You see all that haterade he's got there for me. I tell you, he's gonna try to be in the Soul Train lineup. He can't dance. He can't dance.
Yeah. Soul Train was one of those heritage moments too. You know.
Yes, indeed.
Soul Train. So that's why you see all of those things in the show, because we were so proud of them, and they, you know, a lot of that stuff was part of our lives, but we want to tell that story. So yeah, it's a lot more that we need to do that I want to do. We need a ice show that features that is based on that the black culture and energy and the whole urban theme. We need a Las Vegas style review, a real big dance show with people from people of color from Brazil, from Cuba, from the Caribbean, but from Ethiopia. But it's just some beautiful people of color around the world, and it's a beautiful culture. And the culture is linked. You can link our culture with South African black culture, with the Brazilian black culture, with the Caribbean black culture. It's a fine line that threads us in the diaspora, and you know it's. You can see it in Universoul.
Wait a minute, sir. Wait a minute. You used a big international college word, diaspora, just for the sake of Dr. McKenzie. What does that mean?
It's the black countries and the black nations and the black people all over the world. The diaspora is where we are one group. And in my mind, that's what, I don't know the official title for it, but it includes all of the countries with people of color that where our origin is of I guess African descent, but we've traveled all over the world.
Heavy. See, when you hang out with Mensa geniuses and visionaries par excellence who are just have been knighted Sir Cedric Walker, then he'll throw words on you that you need to know. Diaspora. This is fantastic. I had to ask because I could see Dr. McKenzie over there kind of scratching his head.
Dr. McKenzie, why do you take it, man?
Like I said, it's nothing to take when you know that people are jealous of you. So the only way that they can feel better about themselves is try to make themselves feel like that they are.
I got issues. I'm not ashamed of it. My wife would tell you I got issues. Right, sweetheart?
Jealousy is a sickness. Jealousy is a sickness, and he's in the ICU, so.
It's all right, sir. It's all right. It's all right. So now you see what he said something that I want you to remember, McKenzie. He said ringmaster, honorary ringmaster, and it wasn't you. It was me. I'll be talking about this for the rest of the year.
Yeah, we know you will.
Well,
great.
thank you.
That
I
is
tell you,
great.
it's been a wonderful joyride here today. I tell you, and if you notice, Sir Cedric Walker had to throw the baton over to Dr. McKenzie. Normally, he's trying to talk me out of my program, asking 1,000 questions, but he listened today, which is amazing. I got it on tape. It's fantastic.
Do you have any questions, Dr. McKenzie?
I'm even learning, and I'll tell you this, Dr. Walker. I appreciate you coming and sharing your knowledge and your wisdom with us, because I'm an entrepreneur, to the bone, and I appreciate talking to and hearing men like you who have been successful in business, and not just successful in business, but you've gone in an industry that that we aren't truly represented in. So I'm in awe of what you've done, all that you do. So when you talk, I'm listening, so I can learn about how I can get to the level and the status that you've gotten to, and to be able to do it in the long, that long legacy way where people always recall. I mean, you say Universoul Soul Circus, or as you say, when I say Big Top, you say Circus. Everybody knows what you're talking about,
Oh, yeah.
So I just appreciate you. I appreciate you coming and sharing, and just taking time out of your busy schedule to be able to talk to us and the people just about, the circus and just the great things and the history of it. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thank you. I mean, we just need more. We need more stuff. We need to preserve our culture. When you go to, and we need to perpetuate our culture. When you go to Ringling Brothers or Disney on Ice or any of those family attractions, they're based on the culture of the European market, and that's a preservation of their culture through entertainment. But we need to do the same thing. So there's a lot of work that has to be done. I mean, the Harlem Renaissance was the birth of the big cultural change. It was when there was a period of time when we came into realizing that we weren't slaves, because it was right after the Great Migration, and we had fought in World War I, and we realized that we had fought for other people's freedom. So we all kind of ended up in New York in this Harlem Renaissance, where we started writing poetry, we started playing music, we started doing stuff that we couldn't do on the plantation, and we came into ourselves. We need to perpetuate that. We need people to recognize that that was a period where black culture changed the world. So it's just a lot, man. It's a lot that we have to do. It's a lot that needs to be done for us to be recognized for what we contribute to this globe, to the world, to the universe, and how we impact it, A lot of it gets pushed down. I found out the other day, a friend of mine he's doing this golf tournaments, black golf tournaments and stuff. A black man discovered the golf tee. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I never knew that. A
Yes,
black
sir.
man discovered the golf tee, and so nobody ever told us that. It's just too much, man, that we've done that goes unnoticed,
unappreciated.
And doesn't get perpetuated.
If you want to see, I don't want to make you mad, but if you go to the Greater Black Wax Museum, you will be amazed all the things we've created, from the ironing board to telephones and everything else, and how we'll end up on a short stick of the deal when we created it. Makes no sense.
Yeah.
So don't let them take your dream. As I got to close now, because I could be here for another chapter. listening to all this wisdom. But therefore, with the power vested in me from the Holy Spirit and God, I debut Sir Cedric Walker, globe traveler.
All right.
Entrepreneur
Thank you so much. Thank you, all three of you guys, and it's been my pleasure.
Oh, it's fantastic.
And thanks to David Murphy for connecting us.
Exactly. That's my adopted uncle, and that's what I'm saying. I'm sticking to it.
All right,
sweetheart. We thank you. You got anything to say quickly to Sir Cedric Walker, Leora? Okay, maybe not. All right, we thank you. Keep your head up, and go to see the Universoul Circus while it's in town, and learn something, have some fun, fellowship with your culture. Yeah, that's what's important. All right, here we go. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.